Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson of digital photography. Today for session 7, we're going to talk about two new interesting concepts called TV mode and shutter speed. And today's lesson is going to be a special HBL lesson for those of us who are unable to join the lesson in school. So at least at home, you get to catch up and learn what your friends are learning in school. All right, so without further ado, let's take a look at our schedule. Okay, we are going to start off with a recap of what you learned in the previous lesson 6, and then it's going to be followed by a short photo review of some of the photos that you have taken in the classroom. Once done, on your own in this video, you're going to learn about TV mode and shutter speed, and we're going to work on a short activity after that. Okay, once done, that will be the end of IT lesson for today. So let's get started with our recap. Okay, in the last lesson, we talked about this special mode on the camera that you used. This is called the AV mode, aperture priority mode. It looks like this, okay? And basically, this mode allows you to change different camera settings. Most importantly, a special F number that is actually called aperture. And we learned last week that aperture refers to the opening of the camera lens. So something magical that happens is when you change this F number, the size of the camera lens also changes. Okay, but that is not as important as what we have learned in the previous week about depth of field. So when we change the F number, we can change the focus area in your camera and the depth of field. So a small F number like 5.6 will give you a small focus area and a small depth of field. That means more blurriness. If you set a big F number like 22, you will get a bigger focus area, a bigger depth of field, more things are clear, less blurry. All right. And back to AV mode, we learned that in AV mode, since it allows you to change the F number and the depth of field, it allows you to take a lot of pictures of still objects, things that don't move, such as your Lego, a building, as well as still animals like an iguana, for example. Okay, so we learned that when we want to take pictures of still things, things that are not moving, AV mode is the mode to use. All right. Now let's do a quick recap quiz. All right, so take a look at this picture here. Let's try to practice if we can remember what we learned previously. Okay, this is talking back about AV mode, depth of field, and the F number. Okay, so take a look at this picture of a horse in the middle of a meadow. Behind the horse, you can see that there's mountain and there's also sky. All right, so take a look at this picture. We have a very big focus area. The whole picture is very clear. You don't see any blurriness. So what kind of depth of field and F number is this? Give yourself 5 seconds to try it out on your own. Okay, once ready, let's take a look at the answer. The answer is actually C. In this photo, you see that everything is clear. There's a very big focus area. So this tells you that the depth of field, the focus area is very big. Okay, so at the same time, big depth of field means big F number. The F number set is very big. The focus point is very big. All right, so this is quite easy. Let's try the next one. Okay, take a look at this photo now. Take about 5 seconds to understand the photo before you try the answer on your own. Okay, let's take a look at the answer. The answer is A. All right, small depth of field, small F number. If you take a look at this picture of a leaf with water droplets here, you notice that only the leaf and some water droplets in the middle are very clear. Other water droplets at the side is blurred out and the entire background behind the leaf is blurred out. So with this, you can tell that there's a lot of blurry effects. The focus area is small. So that means your depth of field is small, and that will mean that a small F number was set for this picture. All right, so everyone, good job if you have gotten it all right. If not, that's fine. We learned and then we practice it in another lesson. Okay, now let's move on from here. We're going to take a look at the photos that you've taken in the previous lesson in the classroom. So last lesson, we practiced using small and big depth of field again by changing your F number. So we tried to take pictures of things close up, just like your Lego, as well as devices or stationery with a small F number. So these photos here were taken with F4 or 5.6. Okay, quite nicely done, well done. You can see the blurry effect in the background. Okay, What we also did was to try a big depth of field. So we changed the f number bigger, and that allowed us to take things that are bigger and also have everything clear in the picture. Okay, so some shots that you tried were classroom shots. So you took an entire classroom scene, and you also practice using your hands to do special fun shots, grabbing objects in the distance. Okay, so the cool thing about this is if you have a big F number, big depth of field, you can have your near and far objects both clear. So it can give you an illusion of a giant hand grabbing something. All right, so we had fun with this. Well done, everyone. Now, let's learn something new today. We're going to move a bit away from AV mode and aperture. We're going to look at TV mode, a special mode on the camera. So let's learn. Okay, so everyone, for today's lesson on TV mode, we're going to understand when it's right for us to use TV mode, and we're going to understand what shutter speed is. And for shutter speed, we're going to focus on fast shutter speed. We're going to learn how to set it on the DSLR camera, and how we can use it is to freeze motion. So let me go through this in more detail in the coming slides. Okay, so let's start off with TV mode. TV mode is another camera mode. It looks like this. You notice that now that you have changed to TV mode, the F number has disappeared and it has been replaced with a fraction. Now everyone, this fraction here is actually referring to shutter speed. Okay, so this mode, time value mode, actually also means time shutter speed priority mode. Okay, so everyone, this setting for the camera allows you to change different camera settings as well, but most importantly, shutter speed, which is represented by the fraction over there, not the F number anymore. This is a different kind of setting. Okay, now TV mode is actually used to take moving objects. So it has something to do with shutter speed, which is how fast your camera snaps. So that's why TV mode is the best mode to use to take moving things. And you can have different kind of effects for moving things. So let's learn this. Okay, in TV mode, you can use to freeze motion. So you can capture and freeze the motion of very fast moving objects, like people playing soccer or people running in a marathon. Okay. In TV mode, you can also use it to capture motion. So if you notice in these two pictures here, you can actually trace the light paths, okay, of the cars driving on the street as well as the Ferris wheel lights. Okay, so the reason why you can see this light path is because of a special function on TV mode, which we will learn very soon. Okay, so this allows us to capture motion lines, capture motion. Another special thing about TV mode, which we are not going to try, but at least understand, is that you can combine two of the effects. So you can freeze and capture motion at the same time, as shown in the parrot picture here, as well as the cyclist. All right, so everyone, today we're going to focus on freezing motion, but we'll talk a bit about the setting that affects all of this, which is called shutter speed. Okay, so shutter speed is basically represented by the fraction here. It's how fast or slow your camera shutter closes to snap a picture. Okay, so your camera can go snap, 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 or you can go snap, snap, snap. Okay, so that's the shutter speed, how fast the camera closes to snap the picture. Okay, it is measured in seconds. So the fraction over here is actually 1/60 of a second. That's really very fast. All right. Now let's take a look at this range. Shutter speed on a TV mode can be changed to be a different set of values. Okay, so we can range from very slow shutter speed, which is on the left 1 second, all the way to very fast shutter speed, which is a very big fraction, 1/2000. The denominator is very big. Okay, so what is the effect here? Everyone, if you notice on the left, when the shutter speed is slow, 1 second, 2 seconds, and more, okay, moving things that are captured will be blurred out. So the movement will be blurred. Okay, so this is actually capturing motion. Whereas if you look on the right side, if you set your shutter speed very fast, a fraction of a second, 1/2000, for example, you notice that very fast moving objects can finally be frozen. Okay, so this is the cool thing about shutter speed. When you change it, you get to capture or freeze motion depending on what you want. All right. Now, today we're going to focus on fast shutter speed, freezing motion. Okay, so with fast shutter speed, you can take photos of very fast moving objects and you can sort of freeze them, make it look as if they are frozen in time. Okay, So if you look at the left side, okay, these are people playing soccer. They are moving and running very fast. So in order for us to capture this freeze shot, we need a shutter speed of about 1/200. Okay, but if you look at the picture on the right, these are racing cars. Cars move even faster than humans. So for this, we have to set a fast shutter speed as well, but we might have to go even faster at a bigger fraction, 1/2000, bigger denominator. Okay, everyone, so this is how we change shutter speed to suit different kind of moving objects. Okay, the faster the object, the fraction gets bigger, the denominator gets bigger. All right, so getting your camera ready. So for school use, we're going to use TV mode at a shutter speed of 1/500 of a second. So for this, it's fast enough to capture people moving, but not fast enough for a sports car. Okay, but definitely fast enough to capture people moving and maybe even freeze cars moving, normal cars. Okay, now everyone, you notice that in this setting mode, if you look at the bottom row, there is a box of a few squares stacking over each other. Now, this is a special setting that we're also going to use for shutter speed, fast shutter speed. This is called continuous shot. This means that your camera will keep taking photos when you press and hold your shutter button. Okay, why we need to use this is because that when you take fast shutter speed photos, it's not guaranteed that you might snap a good photo or a successful photo at the first time. So to make ourselves better prepared, we change to a continuous shot so that when you press and shoot your photos, at least you will snap a few photos at a time and one of the photos will be successful, guaranteed. Okay, so that's why for fast shutter speed, freezing motion, we try to use a continuous shot. Okay. Now, let's take a look at some photo ideas that you can do in school or maybe at home if you have the materials for freezing motion. Okay, so with fast shutter speed, you can freeze the motion of moving objects like falling water on apple, so you can catch the splash. You can also freeze the motion of bottles or objects being thrown about, like a floating bottle. Okay, you can also freeze the movement of bubbles, frozen bubbles, and you can also freeze shots of people jumping, whether it's a single person or if it's many people jumping at the same time. So all these are motion that has been frozen, as though frozen in time. Okay, so this all uses fast shutter speed, which is the fraction of a second. Okay. Now we have come to the end of individual learning. Let's move on to individual activity instructions. Okay, so today on your own, you will be doing two simple short activities. First one is a quiz. Second one is a photo activity. Okay, so for the quiz, it will be based on what we learned today, TV mode and shutter speed. And for photo activity, it will be based on what you have learned and seen today. Okay, so for photo activity, since you don't have a camera at home, that's fine. Okay, I will need you to go to Google, research for photos of frozen movements. Okay, I want you to download and upload 2 different photos to eCampus. Okay, so it's a very simple activity to do. If you find that it is very tricky, I'm okay if you skip the photo activity. All right, I'm okay if you skip the photo activity, you can just complete the quiz. All right, so with that, that's the end of individual learning. Have fun with your activity and I will see you next week. Bye.